So, you and your friends have decided to go on a sports trip. Not just any trip. This one's about face paint, rival jerseys, shouting defense with strangers, and convincing yourselves that this is finally the year your team takes the championship. But here's the thing. If you're going to travel for sports, you've got to do it right. You can't just show up. You need a plan, a crew, and most importantly, a city that lives and breathes team spirit. Enter Boston, Massachusetts. The city where sports aren't just watched, they're lived, debated, and shouted about in Dunkin' lines at 7 a.m. Let's break it down. You start by organizing the crew. This is the real pregame. There's always that one guy who wants to bring a friend no one knows, the budget-conscious one who's already complaining about flight prices, and the wild card who just asks, "Will there be beer?" Wrangle them all. Set a group call. Maybe a spreadsheet if you're that type. You're heading to Boston in June, right in time for the tail end of the NBA season and the finals. Even if the Celtics aren't in it, and let's be real, they usually are, the city will be buzzing. Think of it like walking into a hive of green and white energy, only everyone's yelling about Tatum and the refs. Picking the city is one thing. Now you've got to survive it. Step 1. Where to stay. Boston has neighborhoods with their own personalities. Want something fancy and walkable? Try Back Bay. Feels like you've stepped into an Ivy League movie, minus the student debt. Want something edgier with dive bars and street murals? Head to South End or Fenway. Yes, Fenway. As in Fenway Park. As in baseball legends and hot dog-induced joy. Even if you're there for basketball, you can't ignore Fenway. It's basically a historical landmark wrapped in peanuts and nostalgia. Now let's talk logistics. Because traveling with friends is basically being the tour manager for a band of underpaid comedians. Flights into Boston Logan are usually decent, and from there, the city's your oyster. Use the T, Boston subway system, to get around, unless you enjoy yelling at GPS systems in a rental car while circling one-way streets for 40 minutes. Trust me, no one wins that game. So what's on the itinerary? Obviously, you're watching a game, ideally at TD Garden. Even if you only get nosebleed seats, the energy is unmatched. The guy in the row behind you will definitely have strong opinions about three-point percentages, and you'll make eye contact with a stranger during a clutch play and become spiritually bonded forever. But beyond the game, soak in the atmosphere. Hit up a pregame pub like the Harp or Banner's Kitchen. These aren't just bars. They're shrines to Boston sports culture. You'll hear stories about Larry Bird like he's some sort of mythical forest creature who once blessed the parquet floor. But sports travel isn't just about the games. It's about experiencing the soul of a city through the lens of fandom. It's about walking into places that make you feel like you've stepped into a time capsule made of trophies, nacho cheese, and unfiltered hometown pride. And in Boston, that feeling starts inside TD Garden's Sports Museum. Tucked inside the same building where the Celtics work their parquet magic and the Bruins do their icy ballet, this place is a temple to Boston's rich sports history. Entry is about $20 per adult. Not bad when you consider you're walking through a vault of championship banners, game-worn jerseys, and signed basketballs that probably hold more collective value than your entire friend group's combined college degrees. The museum itself is less quiet museum vibes and more your uncle's basement, if your uncle were a Hall of Fame curator with a passion for rivalries and dramatic playoff wins. You'll see Bill Russell's legacy come to life. You'll feel the echoes of Bobby Orr's iconic flying goal. And if you're the sentimental type, don't be surprised if you tear up in front of a display of vintage Celtics sneakers while quietly whispering, "Hey, just don't make them like this anymore." Still buzzing from adrenaline? Good. Use that energy to explore more of the city, starting with the Freedom Trail. Now, yes, it's technically a 2.5-mile historical walking route that leads you all about the American Revolution. But let's be real. If Paul Revere had a Larry Bird jersey, we'd all be a little more excited about colonial history. The trail weaves through Boston Common, Faneuil Hall, and even Paul Revere's actual house. Free to walk, this is one of the best ways to blend sightseeing with walking off that third Fenway Frank. Plus, you can pretend you're a two-way player, part sports fan, part cultured traveler. Speaking of walking, let's talk about the thing that truly unites people more than sports: food. Boston is a food city with a capital F, and if you leave without trying clam chowder, you're doing it wrong. Start with the Union Oyster House, the oldest continually operating restaurant in the United States. Yeah, this place was slinging oysters before Abraham Lincoln even grew a beard. A hearty bowl of chowder will run you around $9 to $12, but the experience of eating in a place that's older than your country's tax system? Priceless. If you're feeling fancy, or bougie as the group chat calls it, head over to Neptune Oyster in the North End. Get the lobster roll. It's market price, so prepare for some wallet damage, usually around $38, but your taste buds will high-five you for days. Now, say it's late. You've just left a game. Spirits are high. Hunger is borderline aggressive. You don't need fine dining. You need food that can be delivered in greasy paper and eaten while yelling about bad refereeing decisions. Enter Regina Pizzeria. This North End staple has been around since 1926, and for good reason. Their slices are the size of your head, and the kind of greasy perfect that can only be created by an oven older than your grandma. 2 slices and a soda? About $10. Add cannoli from Mike's Pastry or Modern Pastry, and you've got a sugar-fueled post-game victory parade in your mouth. Warning: attempting to live solely on cannoli for 48 hours may result in regret and/or diabetes, but spiritually, it's totally worth it. And if you're traveling with a group, especially one with a guy who eats like a linebacker, Boston's got your back. Head to Quincy Market near Faneuil Hall, where food stalls serve everything from lobster mac and cheese to giant turkey legs. It's budget-friendly, full of energy, and your best bet for feeding 5 hungry fans without taking out a second mortgage. Now let's talk about the people, because in Boston, the fans are the flavor. The locals here are passionate. Think Philly fans, but with more vowels and better seafood. There's a golden rule in Boston: if you're in, you're in. Cheer like you mean it. Don't be afraid to boo, tastefully. Tip your bartenders. And above all, don't you dare utter a single negative word about Larry Bird unless you want to be politely, or not so politely, escorted out of a bar mid-beer. On the flip side, if you wear your team colors with confidence and strike up conversations, you might just get invited to a post-game garage party where someone's uncle is grilling sausages and yelling at the TV like it owes him money. If that happens, say yes. These are the moments you'll remember long after the final buzzer. As your trip winds down, you'll find yourself slightly hoarse, extremely full, and probably wearing way more Celtics green than you intended. You might have made a questionable late-night Amazon purchase of a Larry Bird bobblehead. You'll swear your friend Kevin cried during the national anthem, but he'll deny it forever. And when you look back, it won't just be about the score, although fingers crossed your team won. It'll be about the spontaneous bar debates, the street-side high-fives with strangers, the chowder spills, and that one guy who now insists he's been a lifelong Boston sports fan despite being born in Arizona. That's what a good sports trip does. It transforms a few days of travel into something that feels legendary. You picked the right city. You leaned into the madness. You bonded with your crew. And you experienced what it means to be a fan in a place where the skyline itself seems to echo with echoes of victory. So whether this is your first sports getaway or just your latest attempt to chase playoff dreams on the road, Boston's waiting. With its banners, beers, beefy chowder bowls, and fans that bleed green and gold, it's more than a destination. It's a rite of passage. And remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the memories, the meals, the inside jokes, and that one friend who bought a Celtics jersey for the vibes and is now somehow calling into local sports radio shows. So pack your jersey, bring your appetite, and prepare to lose your voice in the best way possible. Because we don't just travel. This lot will keep you in the loop. We travel for the game. And Boston is the championship experience you didn't know you needed.